Have you ever watched someone you love transform into a stranger right before your eyes? One minute, they're charming and confident. The next, they're screaming accusations that make no sense. Have you ever watched someone you love transform into a stranger right before your eyes? One minute, they're charming and confident. The next, they're screaming accusations that make no sense. I'm Dr. Emily Carter. Today, I'm going to tell you about 3 behaviors that can make a narcissist furious. Isabella Martinez is one of the most striking examples. By the end of this video, we'll uncover the secrets narcissists don't want you to know. But first, let's go back to the beginning. When Isabella came into my office, she was 32 years old. She worked as a graphic designer for a marketing firm downtown. She'd been with her boyfriend Nathan for 2 years. On paper, he seemed perfect. Successful real estate agent, great smile, always knew the right thing to say at parties. Her friends thought she was lucky. Her mother kept asking when they'd get engaged. But something had been changing lately. Small things at first. The way Nathan would go silent for days if she disagreed with him, how he would explode over nothing, then act like she was crazy for being upset. That Tuesday morning, she finally understood what was happening. "Did you pick up the milk like I asked?" Isabella said. She was making coffee in their shared apartment. Nathan's face went rigid. His eyes went cold. "Are you seriously questioning me right now?" His voice was low, dangerous. Isabella felt her stomach drop. She'd seen this look before, but this time felt different. This time, she knew something was deeply wrong. What she didn't know yet was that she just triggered one of the 3 behaviors that send narcissists into rage, and her life was about to change forever. Nathan moved closer. His hands were shaking, not from nervousness, from fury. "You think I'm incompetent?" he hissed. "You think you're better than me?" "Nathan, I just asked about milk." "Don't gaslight me." He slammed his hand on the counter. The coffee mug jumped. "You always do this. You always make me feel like I'm not good enough." Isabella's hands trembled. She'd asked a simple question. How had this happened? How had her boyfriend turned into this person who terrified her? But here's what Isabella didn't understand yet. And here's what changed everything once she finally learned the truth. Nathan wasn't just having a bad day. He wasn't stressed about work. He had narcissistic personality disorder. And Isabella had unknowingly done something that narcissists cannot tolerate. She'd questioned his competence. She'd challenged his perfect image of himself. And narcissists would rather destroy you than face that kind of truth. Let me tell you how Isabella discovered what was really happening. Because understanding these 3 triggers might save your life, or at least save you from wasting years with someone who can never truly love you. If you're recognizing yourself in this story, hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, because what comes next matters. Isabella spent the rest of that day walking on eggshells. Nathan gave her the silent treatment, refused to look at her. When she tried to apologize, he turned his back. The apartment felt like a prison. She couldn't remember what she'd done wrong, just that everything was her fault now. That evening, she called her best friend, Rachel. Rachel was a nurse. She'd seen things. She knew about toxic relationships. "He does this every time I question anything," Isabella said. Her voice was barely a whisper. "I feel like I'm going crazy." "You're not crazy," Rachel said. "But I think you need to talk to someone, a professional." That's when Isabella first heard the name Dr. Emily Carter. Dr. Carter was a clinical psychologist who specialized in personality disorders. She'd spent 15 years working with people who'd been in relationships with narcissists. She'd also worked with narcissists themselves, though they rarely stayed in treatment. They usually left the moment she tried to hold up a mirror to their behavior. Isabella made an appointment for the following week. She didn't tell Nathan. Something told her he'd find a way to stop her from going. The morning of her appointment, Nathan was in a good mood. He'd closed a big real estate deal. He kissed her forehead, told her she looked beautiful, made her breakfast. It was like the rage from a few days ago had never happened. This was the cycle. Explosion, silent treatment, then sudden affection. Isabella was starting to see the pattern, but she didn't know what it meant yet. She was about to find out. Dr. Carter's office was on the third floor of a brick building in Lincoln Park. The waiting room had soft lighting, plants in the corners. Isabella sat with her hands in her lap. Her heart was pounding. She'd never been to therapy before. She didn't know what to expect. When Dr. Carter called her name, Isabella was surprised. Dr. Carter was younger than she'd imagined, early 40s maybe. Warm brown eyes, a kind smile that made Isabella want to cry with relief. "Tell me what brought you here," Dr. Carter said once they were settled. And Isabella told her everything. The rage over milk, the silent treatment, the sudden affection, the feeling that she was constantly walking through a minefield, never knowing what would set him off. Dr. Carter listened, she took notes, and when Isabella finished, Dr. Carter said something that changed everything. "Isabella, has anyone ever talked to you about narcissistic personality disorder?" Isabella shook her head. She'd heard the word narcissist before, but she thought it just meant someone who was selfish, self-centered. She didn't know it was an actual disorder, a pattern of behavior that had a name. "What you're describing sounds like narcissistic rage," Dr. Carter said gently. "It's a response that happens when someone with narcissistic traits feels their self-image is threatened. And there are 3 specific behaviors that trigger this rage more than anything else." Isabella leaned forward. Her hands gripped the armrest. "What are they?" But just as Dr. Carter was about to answer, Isabella's phone buzzed. It was Nathan. "Where are you?" the text said. "Why aren't you home?" Isabella's hands went cold. She told him she was running errands, but somehow she knew he didn't believe her. Narcissists always knew when you were pulling away. They could sense it. "You don't have to answer that right now," Dr. Carter said. "You're safe here." Safe. Isabella hadn't felt safe in months, maybe longer. "Tell me about the 3 behaviors," Isabella said, "please." Dr. Carter nodded, and what she said next gave Isabella the framework to understand everything that had been happening. The first behavior that enrages a narcissist is questioning their competence. When you asked Nathan about the milk, you weren't just asking a simple question. In his mind, you were suggesting he failed at something, that he wasn't perfect. For someone with narcissistic personality disorder, any suggestion of failure feels like a mortal wound to their ego. Isabella's mind raced back through their relationship. Every time she'd pointed out a mistake, every time she'd asked why he'd done something a certain way, each time had triggered an explosion or days of cold silence. "They have what we call a fragile self-esteem," Dr. Carter continued. "On the outside, they seem confident, superior, but underneath, they're deeply insecure. Any hint that they're not perfect threatens to expose that insecurity, so they react with rage to shut down the threat." "But I wasn't trying to hurt him," Isabella said. "I just wanted to know about the milk." "I know," Dr. Carter said, "but that's not how he experienced it. His brain interpreted your question as an attack, and for narcissists, the best defense is offense. They lash out, they turn it around, they make you the problem so they don't have to face their own imperfection." Isabella felt tears on her cheeks. She hadn't even realized she was crying. "What's the second behavior?" This was the moment that everything crystallized, because what Dr. Carter said next explained so many things Isabella had been too afraid to name. "The second behavior is refusing to give them attention or admiration," Dr. Carter said. "Narcissists need constant validation. We call it narcissistic supply. It's like oxygen to them. When you stop providing it, when you're busy with your own life, or you don't react to their stories, or you seem distracted, they experience it as abandonment, as rejection, and they rage. Isabella thought about the times she'd been focused on her work, the times she'd been tired and hadn't responded enthusiastically enough to Nathan's stories about his real estate victories. Each time, he'd grown cold, accused her of not caring about him, said she was selfish. They interpret any lack of attention as a personal attack. In their worldview, everyone should be focused on them, admiring them. When that doesn't happen, their sense of superiority is threatened, and rage fills the gap. So I can never have my own life? Isabella's voice broke. I can never just be tired or busy? In a healthy relationship, no. But with someone who has untreated narcissistic personality disorder, they cannot tolerate you having an independent existence. Your purpose, in their mind, is to reflect their greatness. When you stop doing that, they punish you. Isabella's phone buzzed again. Then again. Nathan was calling now. She let it go to voicemail. Dr. Carter's words were too important. She needed to hear this. What's the third behavior? Isabella whispered. Dr. Carter met her eyes, and what she said next was the most important thing Isabella would hear that day.
The third behavior that enrages a narcissist is setting boundaries. The words hung in the air. Isabella felt them settle into her bones. When you say no to a narcissist, when you assert your own needs, when you set a limit on their behavior, they experience it as betrayal, because in their mind, your job is to meet their needs, always. Boundaries suggest that you're a separate person with your own wants and rights, and narcissists fundamentally cannot accept that. Isabella thought about all the times she tried to set boundaries with Nathan, asking for a long time, saying she couldn't drop everything to meet his needs, suggesting they needed to have a serious conversation about his behavior. Every single time, he'd raged or withdrawn or turned it around until she was apologizing for having needs at all. So these three behaviors, questioning their competence, not giving them constant attention, setting boundaries, these are normal, healthy things, but to a narcissist, they're unbearable threats. Exactly, Dr. Carter said. And here's what's crucial for you to understand, Isabella. These aren't things you should stop doing. These are signs that you're in a relationship with someone who cannot meet you as an equal, someone who cannot tolerate you being a whole, separate person. Isabella's chest felt tight. What do I do? But before Dr. Carter could answer, Isabella's phone exploded with text. 15 in a row. Nathan demanding to know where she was, accusing her of cheating, threatening to leave, then immediately saying he loved her and was worried about her. This was the cycle. The rage, the punishment, the sudden love bombing. She could see it now. Dr. Carter's words had given her a map to territory she'd been lost in for 2 years. The question isn't what you do, Dr. Carter said gently. The question is what you're willing to live with, because narcissistic personality disorder is very difficult to treat. It requires the person to acknowledge they have a problem, to admit they're not perfect. And most narcissists never do that. They blame everyone else. They rage instead of reflect. Isabella felt something shift inside her, a door opening, or maybe closing. She wasn't sure which. I need to think, she said. Of course, Dr. Carter said. But Isabella, I want you to know something. The 3 behaviors we talked about, questioning competence, withdrawing attention, and setting boundaries, those aren't problems with you. Those are healthy behaviors that any relationship should be able to handle. If someone rages at you for doing those things, that tells you everything you need to know about whether they can be a true partner. Isabella nodded. She felt numb, overwhelmed, but also, for the first time in months, clear. She left Dr. Carter's office with a follow-up appointment scheduled. She also left with something else, a framework, a way to understand what had been happening.
And most importantly, a way to see that she wasn't crazy. She wasn't the problem. She was just trying to be a person, and Nathan couldn't tolerate that. That night, Isabella went home. Nathan was waiting. He was calm, too calm. He asked where she'd been. His voice was soft, but his eyes were hard. "I had an appointment," Isabella said. She didn't elaborate. "What kind of appointment?" Nathan's jaw tightened. This was it, the moment. Isabella could lie, make something up, keep the peace. Or she could set a boundary, do the third thing that enraged narcissists. "A therapy appointment," she said. The transformation was instant. Nathan's face went red, his hands clenched into fists. "Therapy? You went to therapy without telling me? What did you tell them about me?" "I talked about myself," Isabella said. Her voice was shaking, but she kept going. "About how I've been feeling." "You talked about me to some stranger? You betrayed me. You're trying to make me look bad." Isabella watched it happen. The rage, just like Dr. Carter had described. She'd set a boundary. She'd done something for herself, and Nathan couldn't tolerate it. "This is over," Nathan said. "Pack your things, get out." But 3 hours later, after Isabella had started packing, Nathan was back, crying, begging. He was sorry. He was stressed. He loved her. She was the only one who understood him. "Please don't leave. He'd change. He'd be better." Isabella looked at him, and for the first time, she saw it. The pattern, the cycle, the way he'd rage, punish, then love bomb. Over and over, forever. "I need space." And the rage came back, bigger this time, louder. Accusations flew, insults, threats. Then more crying, more promises. Isabella spent the night at Rachel's apartment. She was shaking, exhausted, but also strangely calm. She'd seen it. She'd named it, and she couldn't unsee it now. Over the next 3 months, Isabella continued working with Dr. Carter. They talked about trauma bonds, about the cycle of abuse, about why Isabella had stayed so long, about what real love looked like versus what narcissistic manipulation looked like. People with narcissistic personality disorder can improve, Dr. Carter explained in one session, but it requires intensive therapy. It requires them to acknowledge their behavior, to develop empathy, to tolerate criticism and imperfection. And most narcissists never do that work. They find it too threatening to their self-image. Isabella had tried to get Nathan to go to therapy. He'd refused, said he didn't need it, that she was the one with problems, that she was trying to make him look bad. That's when Isabella knew this wasn't going to change. She could stay and keep walking through the minefield, or she could leave and start building a life where she didn't have to anticipate rage every time she asked a question, had her own interests, or expressed a need. She chose to leave. It wasn't easy. Nathan alternated between rage and promises for weeks. He showed up at her new apartment. He called her work. He sent her friends messages saying she was crazy, that she had abandoned him, that she was selfish and cold. This was what Dr. Carter had warned her about. When narcissists lose control of someone, they often launch what's called a smear campaign. They tell everyone who listens that the other person is the problem. They position themselves as the victim. It's another form of rage, another way to punish someone for not providing the admiration and control they demand. But Isabella held firm. She blocked his number. She documented everything in case she needed a restraining order. She leaned on her support system, and slowly she started to heal. 6 months after leaving Nathan, Isabella sat in Dr. Carter's office again. "How are you feeling?" Dr. Carter asked. "Lighter," Isabella said. And it was true. She hadn't realized how much energy it took to manage someone else's rage, to constantly monitor her words and actions, to live in fear of the next explosion. "You did something very brave," Dr. Carter said. "You recognized the pattern. You learned the triggers, and you chose yourself. I keep wondering if I could have done something different, if I could have helped him somehow." "You couldn't," Dr. Carter said gently, "because helping Nathan would have required him to acknowledge he needed help, and that acknowledgement would have threatened his entire sense of self. The core feature of narcissistic personality disorder is an inability to see oneself clearly, to admit imperfection, and without that admission, change is impossible." Isabella nodded. She'd learned that the hard way, but she'd learned.
"What about other people?" Isabella asked. "How do they spot these three behaviors, the triggers?" Dr. Carter smiled. This was why she'd become a therapist, to give people the tools to recognize these patterns before they got trapped. The three behaviors we discussed, questioning competence, withdrawing attention, and setting boundaries, are actually diagnostic, Dr. Carter explained. If someone consistently responds to these normal, healthy behaviors with rage, punishment, or manipulation, that's a red flag. That's a sign you're dealing with someone who cannot tolerate you being an autonomous person. So it's not about avoiding those behaviors. It's about watching how someone responds when you do them. Exactly, Dr. Carter said. In a healthy relationship, your partner might be disappointed if you're distracted or busy. They might be hurt if you point out a mistake. They might be frustrated if you set a boundary. But they won't rage. They won't punish you. They won't make you feel like you're the problem for having basic human needs and behaviors. Isabella felt something settle in her chest. Understanding. She hadn't been crazy. She hadn't been too sensitive or too demanding. She'd just been trying to be a person. And Nathan couldn't handle that. The research on narcissistic personality disorder is clear. People with this disorder have severe impairments in empathy. They struggle to recognize other people's feelings and needs. They use others to regulate their own self-esteem. And when those others don't cooperate, when they question or withhold attention or set limits, the narcissist experiences it as a catastrophic threat. What happens to people who stay in these relationships? Dr. Carter's expression grew serious. They often develop anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress symptoms. The constant hypervigilance, trying to predict and prevent rage, takes a massive toll. Many people lose their sense of self. They start to believe they really are the problem, that if they could just be perfect enough, the rage would stop. But it never does, because the rage isn't about them. It's about the narcissist's inability to tolerate reality. Isabella thought about all the people who might be going through what she'd gone through, sitting in their apartments right now, wondering why their partner exploded over nothing, blaming themselves, thinking they were crazy. "I wish everyone knew about these three triggers," Isabella said. "I wish I'd known sooner. That's why I do this work. Because once you know what to look for, you can protect yourself. You can recognize the pattern early, before you've invested years, before you've lost yourself." They sat in silence for a moment. Then, Isabella asked the question that had been on her mind for months. "Will I be okay?" Dr. Carter smiled, a real smile, warm and genuine. "Isabella, you're already okay. You got out. You're doing the work. You're learning to trust your reality again. That's more than okay. That's remarkable." Isabella left that session feeling something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. Not the desperate, anxious hope that Nathan would change, but real hope. Hope for herself, for her future, for the relationship she'd build with people who could tolerate her being whole and separate and human. She still had hard days, days when she doubted herself, days when she missed the good moments with Nathan, even though she knew they were part of the cycle, days when she felt lonely, but she never went back.
because Dr. Carter had given her something invaluable, a framework, a way to understand what had happened, and most importantly, a way to recognize the red flags early, question their competence, and watch how they respond. Do they get defensive? Enraged? Do they turn it around on you? Have your own life, your own interests, your own moments when you're not focused on them. Do they punish you for it? Do they accuse you of not caring? Do they make you feel guilty for being a separate person? Set a boundary, any boundary, big or small. Do they respect it, or do they rage? Do they call you selfish? Do they threaten to leave, then promise to change? These three behaviors, these three simple, healthy, normal behaviors were the litmus test. They revealed whether someone could truly love you or whether they just needed you to reflect their false image of perfection. Isabella thought about all of this as she walked home from Dr. Carter's office that day. The Chicago streets were busy, people everywhere, going about their lives, some of them probably trapped in the same cycle she'd escaped, some of them probably wondering if they were crazy, if they were too sensitive, if they were the problem. She wished she could tell them all. The three behaviors that enrage a narcissist aren't things you should avoid. They're things you should do early and often. They're the tests that reveal whether someone can love you as you are, or whether they can only love a reflection of their own grandiosity. Real love can handle questions. Real love can handle you having your own life. Real love can handle boundaries. Real love sees you as a person, not as a mirror. And anything less than that isn't love at all. It's control. It's manipulation. And it will destroy you if you let it. Isabella kept walking. The sun was setting. The city was beautiful. And for the first time in years, she felt like she could breathe. She wasn't crazy. She wasn't the problem. She was just human. And being human, questioning, having your own life, setting boundaries, was something she'd never apologize for again. If you found yourself in this story, leave a comment below. Tell me which behavior resonated with you. And remember, the rage isn't your fault. It never was. It's just what happens when someone with a disorder meets someone with boundaries. And you deserve so much more than that.